Has Ty Simpson shown enough to be a first round NFL draft pick in 2026? A former 5-star prospect from Martin, Tennessee, Ty Simpson literally grew up around the game of college football, as his father Jason became head coach at UT Martin when Ty was about 4 years old. Jason, who is still at UTM, is now the program's all time winningest head coach with 5 Ohio Valley Conference titles over the past 2 decades. Ty Simpson signed with Alabama in 2022 and spent his true freshman year watching Bryce Young's junior season with the Tide. Simpson then backed up Jalen Milroe in 2023 and 2024, opting to wait his turn before taking over in 2025, his lone season as a college starter. In terms of counting stats, Simpson threw for 3,567 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions at a 64.5% clip, helping push Alabama into the college football playoff. A deeper look, however, shows a quarterback who is sparkling, arguably the country's best processor for the first half of the season before going down through a bit of a roller coaster in November and December. Which brings us back to the original question. Has Ty Simpson put enough on tape to be a first round pick in the NFL draft? And if he is taken early, will he be ready to start right away? Let's dive in. Okay, guys, let's get into this here now. The first few we're going to look at are the real deal things. Why Ty Simpson is talked about as a potential first round pick and why teams are interested in him at all. Like if you watch his feet, watch his process, watch how he gets the ball out, how he gets through reads, and how he's not afraid to make tough throws here against pressure. Boom, bang. This against Wisconsin. I mean, if you just watch Ty Simpson against Wisconsin, then like you would have him like number 2 overall in your draft like class or whatever. Like he was electric in this game. I think he had 4, maybe 5 or 6 big time throws, the PFF throws. Here we go again to the corner. We see the big corner route. I believe that's Ryan Williams over there. Big time stuff. Not afraid to attack those tight windows. Stood in there and took a hit. So you're going to see as time goes on, pretty much everything he does is something that you're looking for from an NFL starter, right? So it's one of those type of things. Here we go again. Another one to the corner. Over top, layered throw. We see again, right? We got to get this thing in between over him, but not so far that he can get it, right? We got to throw it into a tight bucket, which he's able to do no problem. Again, right on time with the feet, right on time with the drop. We go back and again stop this thing and just watch his feet. If we just start right here with his base, everything else out of this, and don't worry about everything else that's happening. Just watch his process as he gets rid of it. When he's in the groove and when he's in his rhythm, feet perfect, up, throw it. I mean, I think he might have patted the ball there, which I think he'll do sometimes, which is a little bit of a habit. And we'll get into some of that in a minute. He does have bad habits, which is part of the problem. He has back turned to us, we can't really see. But bang, not perfect, but pretty good. That back leg swings a little bit, but bang, right in there. Exactly what you want over the top. Confident with it too. And that's an NFL throw, NFL arm. Obviously can do a lot of stuff with that. I believe this one's going to go over the middle here. Another play action pass, going to get to the dig. Bang. And that one's going to go for 6. So again, like we're going to see the big dagger play, vertical route, stop, right on the break too, as we see this ball's already out pretty much as he's made his break, right? Ball's out, knows where he's going with it, not worried. We watch his eyes as we go through this whole process here. Check middle. He's looking back to this back dig the whole way. I mean, obviously, I think that's the concept they're trying to work toward here, but really good stuff. Gets to it quickly, balls out with a chance to run, and delivered right on the hands too. Right on the hands, in stride, perfect throw. When he's in rhythm, guys, like this is real deal. Like this is why he's, despite some of the, he's not a very big guy in some ways. He's a very good athlete. I think that was part of the 5-star treatment that he got as well. He can move and run, as we're going to see a little bit too. An under center play action shot again. Steps up into the pocket. Another layered throw. Getting to the dig. Steps up. And then we deliver the dig here again. In between layers, another really good layered throw. In between 2 and 3. A lot of quarterbacks, especially in college, are very afraid to do this. This was a big knock against Michael Penix when he came out. C.J. Stroud, I believe. No, Justin Fields. I'm sorry. Justin Fields was also very, very hesitant in the middle of the field. Stroud was big time in the middle of the field. But these are the big throws that you're looking for Are you willing and able to get across this whole concept and get back to the dig? Or do you immediately want to just panic and say, I don't want to do that. I'm going to just hit the tight end right here, get a couple yards, and move on. It was second and long, so we're just going to move on and play third and short, right? We're just going to manage the game and do that sort of thing. No, he's trying to find the big dig, even though there is traffic in the middle there. Not afraid to throw it, rips it right in there, perfect throw, right on time for another big play. Remember what this one is. We'll watch it as we go through together here. As we can see, also at the line of scrimmage, good command, knows what's going on, smart player, doesn't really get rattled or rushed in his pre-snap or his process on the field. Like pretty comfortable with the whole thing. You got to remember again, watched Bryce Young for a year, sat behind Jalen Milroe for 2, competed with Milroe a bit as well. I believe the second year that Milroe started anyway. So he's seen a lot of ball. Nice back shoulder throw there. Great adjustment by Williams, obviously, but just the confidence to rip it, as we see again. Not afraid. He's not even with him, but even I'm leaving. Just gonna chuck it. He's gonna have all confidence in him, back shoulder. That's a lot of practice reps that turns into that one, and then Williams obviously does the rest. Wisconsin did not have a good day in this one. They carved them up. This was his coming out party. This was early in the season, and then as we saw time went on, he was a very effective player. Um, up until about Halloween, I would say, and arguably probably the best processor in college football through at least the middle of October and probably to the end of the month. It struggled. He struggled after down the stretch, and we'll get into some of that as well as we see him, right here, look off one. Wisconsin did not do a very good job in this game. He's going to look off one receiver here, double comebacks, triple comebacks actually, curls, whatever you want to call them. Easy throw, confident again. We're going to get to another game here in a second. It's not all sizzle reel, but there's a lot of them in here, and I think that's why, as you see, that there's another thing to talk about. His elusiveness in the pocket. He can be hard to sack. He can move around, he can reload, and he can get out of traffic and find comfortable spots. Not afraid to step up into the pressure, as we see here. Can feel it from the backside. Step up, reload, right on time on the hands. Right on time, every time. And that's another thing too. Watch his footwork here on this whole thing. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, boom, up, go. No wasted stuff here. On time. Everything is on time with him for the most part. You do not. This is rare with these young quarterbacks. Now he's not as young as some, but a lot of these guys, you see the bad footwork, you see the sloppy footwork, or like the 1, 2, the slow stuff, where they just kind of make it up, and then they're just kind of guessing about when the route's going to be timed properly. He is in time with the routes all the time. We're going to see him, even when he's confused, and even when he makes mistakes, he's in time and in rhythm. So in that sense, I do think there's not a lot of that. There's not a lot of work in that sense, which a lot of times, like a big problem for J.J. McCarthy right now. And honestly, in terms of workload, J.J. McCarthy and Ty Simpson probably have pretty similar, as Michigan never asked him to throw. When you're changing a quarterback's feet, when you're changing a quarterback's drop process and trying to get him in rhythm with how things are going, that is a problem in the NFL. You're going to have a long way to go when you're trying to develop a rookie with that one. He's not going to have that problem. There are some other things with his feet and his process and everything else, and some bad habits that he has that we'll talk about too. But in terms of just staying in rhythm with what's going on, it's a lot like what Bo Nix is all about, right? He can nickel and dime you, but he's also got the arm to make a pretty big throw if necessary as well. I think maybe the last one from the Wisconsin game here. Motion across. Can't remember what I put. Oh yeah, touchdown. Into another tight window as we see here. He's unconscious at this point, right? Having no problem fitting that post in between. What is that? A handful of yards, and it's going to get It's going to get tighter here in a second, and just rips it right in there. Bang, between two defenders, no problem. Touchdown. Oh no, he dropped it. I'm sorry, he did drop it, but it was a good throw. It was right on the money. Either way, you have to take my word for it. I didn't get the back end of that one. Okay, to the Oklahoma game is here we go. Third down. If I get myself out of the way here, I've got some edits on this, so we'll look. Third down, and we're going to run the same kind of thing that we've seen earlier with the dagger. something that we're familiar with, something that he's comfortable with. But the difference is you're going against Venables now, and he's going to get into different stuff from different ways and stuff that that you normally aren't going to see. Wisconsin didn't mix a lot of stuff up. It was pretty vanilla. If you give him vanilla coverage, he's going to eat it up. When teams gave him stuff that was a little bit different, they get into cover six right here. Um, Not too different, but they're moving around and kind of standing weird, and he doesn't quite know what's happening. We're not going to drop anybody, just rush forward, no sim pressure or anything else. But I think this was one that got him a little confused, as we're going to see. We're going to run through this with his eyes right here. He's going to get stuck on this side of the field, and he's going to miss this comeback that comes open over here. He's going to be late, basically, on it, right? And we saw this happen with him quite a bit. He's going to get stuck when he should be looking over here. And by the time he gets his eyes over there, as we can see now, he's already open, but now we're running up, and now it's too late. And he gets the sack. And now he's not quite sure. We got another defender creeping in there as well. They've all adjusted, and he gets sacked. So this is a thing that's happening, or has happened, did happen quite a bit with him, where somebody gave him something different. The Indiana game, we've got a couple clips in there too at the end. Was one where it was like not he doesn't know what he's getting. He's going to freak out and hold the ball all of a sudden, and that it's not so much pressure in terms of blitzing and different stuff like that that gives him problems. Although at times he can have problems with that. If he's confused, you know, it's not great. And I think that there's another good shot right there, as we can see he looks off. So there's some good ones in here too. It wasn't all a mess against some of these teams. Even in the bad games, he had good throws. Look off there, come back to the dig, really good. Exactly what you want, but he knew what he was getting there, no problem. Okay, like that's going to be part of the issue here. Looking there, looking there. Here's a really good read, actually. I think this is a full field read before we get into some other bad ones. So we're going to see. There's one. No. Doesn't like that. Doesn't like that. That's 2 to 3 to 4. We're going to see it here in real time. 1. Let me back it up, and we'll just do it all over again. 1, 2, and then we're going to see his head turn. So 2 glances there, head turn again, all the way back to the comeback. That right there is better than anybody else I think we're going to see in this quarterback class, probably even Mendoza, in terms of being able to get all the way across the formation, with his eyes on time with his feet, and still having time to like give the hitch and pat the ball. You know what I mean? That's the different stuff. He does not waste time with his eyes. He turns the channel very quickly. If he doesn't like something, he's moving on, and he's not afraid to get all the way to the end of it. Not afraid to get all the way to the end of it. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart player, and I think that's something to remember even in the struggle situations. Okay, and here's another one. Going to get a little confused here and panic. And when he panics, he does things that are just so out of character and that are game killers. And here we're going to see it live. They're going to drop 2 in coverage and rush 4 from the other side. So just a sim pressure, and he just freaks out and has no idea what he's getting. He has no idea what he's getting, so he freaks out. He's going to try to throw that quick in right there, and he has no idea that this guy's crashing down there because he's freaking out about the front. He doesn't know what it is, freak out, and then we have problems. Ball tipped, and it's a pick six. Away we go. Right? Like this cannot happen. These are things right here that teams cannot unsee. And if it's an instinct at all, it's a problem. The problem is with stuff like this is we did not get another year of tape. We did not get to see how Ty Simpson would have done next year at Alabama against Oklahoma in a similar situation. We didn't get that. So we have to just make assumptions. Was this one mistake and he got over it and he's never going to do that again in that exact situation? Or is that going to be a problem, you know, consistently every time he sees somebody that gives him fits? Or is it just going to be something that he's going to have issues with as time goes on? That's one thing, one thing to question about when we're talking about drafting a guy as high as we are, right? First round pick, be it top 10, top 15, top 25, whatever, right? I think that's the thing we talk about. Another big shot over the middle. Not like he came apart in this game either. And I think that's the thing to note. Terrible play, doesn't come apart, stays in the game. Did he keep making mistakes in this game? Yes, as we'll see, but he also made some nice throws. All right, another one over the middle right there. Really good. So we see another dig. Bang, over the middle. Him and Mendoza are both great at this. Mendoza's equally as effective over the middle on these big digs and some of the posts and all that stuff. Not afraid. Here's one here. He confuses everybody, including the cameraman, on the keeper. He's a good scrambler. We talked about him being active in the pocket with his feet, able to move and get out and find clean spots. But right there, a nice scramble, first down on the scramble. It was his own read keeper, but they'll do that now and again with him. They did it now and again with him anyway. He can run. Bubble bum. So we got a good athlete too. Like he's got good feet. He's just a good, well together or well put together athlete, well balanced, quick on his feet, able to move around in the pocket. It's a lot like I compare Fernando Mendoza a lot to Jared Goff for the Lions. Honestly, Simpson has some of the similar body control athletically in terms of the quickness, the quick feet. Goff's not a fast guy, and Mendoza, I wouldn't. Mendoza's faster than Goff, obviously too, but like they both have some of that similar quick feet, quick mind as well to get out of there and understand what's going on. They don't waste a lot of time. They call that athletic intelligence, really good spatial awareness, athletic intelligence. When he knows what's going on, there's also times we're going to see where he doesn't see blitzes, he doesn't pick them up, he doesn't watch what's going on, he doesn't do everything pre-snap, he rushes through things and doesn't get his eyes on everything. Here we go again, inside stunt, going to drop two, and we're going to see panic again. And again, in the red zone, panic, not looking and throwing without looking. He's going to come off one and just rip the ball back to two without looking. Off of one, bang to two, not looking because he's freaking out about the coverage. He doesn't. It's not what I've seen. It's not what I was ready for. It's not what I was prepared for. So that's twice in this game that we've seen this, and it happened again later. It's one of those things where it'd be better if we had another year, and that's the problem when we talk about him. Those are things that if it was happening in his second year as a starter, you'd be like, okay, no, like that's going to be an issue. There's a nice quick game there to get the ball out. Pretty good at that. But again, that was a little bit of what he was trying to do on some of the earlier stuff too, as long as it's one of those things where he sees what he wants. Okay, here's one too that has bothered me a lot about him is he pushes this ball on a throw that he can make, but watch his feet, watch his back leg right here. Quarterbacks always want to maintain connection with the ground, with their feet on the ground through some capacity, whether they're on the move, throwing on the move, in the pocket, stable, whatever. They do not want that leg swinging like that. He pushes the ball here, and you can see, I'm going to get it on the back end. I kept it here. Watch his feet only, and watch the back leg. We're already swinging. And it plants all the way up here, and then he starts hopping around. Like all of that movement and motion, that's not a fluid throwing motion. That's a sloppy or lazy throwing motion, and it pushes the ball. And it's not a catch. It should have been a catch and should have been a first down. That's a throw he can make. If his leg is more under control, we're not whipping that back leg around. Like there's some bad habits that come in through here that will push the ball on him. That is also a problem. Here's another really good one. Even I'm leaving. Even get rid of it. No problem at all. This time it's really a little low there, or I'm sorry, a little late, but whatever. Right on time. He still made the catch. Good eyes again. I think again we can see a throw where he pushes the ball and again over the middle. This time pushing the ball. We're going to see against pressure here. We'll just watch his feet. Doesn't step into it. You can see the little front foot just sort of hitches. Watch his front foot. He's got the black cast or whatever the wrap on there. Let me back it up one more time. And then we'll go through. Just watch the front foot. Little hitch, not a step. And I think I have it on the back side here too. You can see it. And the ball is sprayed. When we're going to spray the ball over the middle like that, we got problems. You got to be willing. Like in the Wisconsin game, we saw him step into throws like this. Now we're going to see him do the little hiccup step, and he fires the ball high over the middle like that, which is super dangerous, as we know, in just about any situation. Not feeling the rush here. This was another one where I don't think seeing where it was coming from, knowing it's happening, but not really seeing it, not really sorting it out, not understanding it, and then not just waiting way too long in the pocket, right? Not having a good timer. When he doesn't know what's happening, the timer just goes to hell and he takes a huge hit, ball comes out, and I believe it ends up being a turnover. And if it wasn't, it could have been, obviously, right? As we can see, we're in a complete mess here. You cannot run this play, whatever it's in. We got to get out of this. Got to get out of this. And he has no, and he's rushed, clock off, ball out, turnover. Cannot have it. Those are things that you can't unsee if you're an NFL team. And I think that those are things that, especially when you only have 13 or 14 starts or whatever it is on your resume. Another one, I think, where you can see the holding on to the ball a little bit too long. I don't think he quite knew what he was getting here. Again, pressure up front. They drop out of it, bring in another one from here. The safety comes through. And instead of just ripping it on time, he's going to wait a tick, take a sack. So he's just off his game now. And that's something that we saw happen and come back to haunt him in the Indiana game in the playoffs that knocked him out as well. Go through these a little faster here now. Again, that I left that in because that's a jailbreak offensive line situation. But like, take the sack, man. It's first down. They screwed up. Move on. We will play first. We'll play second and 17 and try to get it back. It's not the end of the world. We're at the 30, whatever. We're not like backed up. Take the sack. Do not do this under any circumstance, ever. And like, those are the things that it's like we cannot have that. We cannot have that. You don't see Mendoza doing this, right? We didn't see Cam Ward doing that. We didn't see Bryce Young doing that. These are first round quarterbacks. That's the stuff that it's hard to, forget, I suppose. And those are the things. Again, not seeing the blitz, just having no idea, holding on to the ball way too long, and not having any feel for it. Again, this is the second Alabama game in the playoff, or I'm sorry, the second Oklahoma game in the playoffs, and this was actually much better, as we're going to see some of these here. He was better in this game than he was in the first game. I think some of that is okay. I know a little bit more of what they're giving me, right? Second time around, and he was much better against them. So I think that is actually a feather in the cap. Was he perfect in that game? No, but he was better. It wasn't as bad, and I think that that's something to take note of. Like that, he knew Oklahoma's defense better, had more time to prepare for it. Obviously, he had already seen them once. Was much more under control and less panicky in this game. There were far less moments. There were some, but there were far less. Much more of this where we were on time with our feet, in rhythm, not being affected by what the coverage was doing or how much movement they were doing pre-snap or whatever it was. Just taking care of the football and doing the job. I think this is another one where we go across the field. 1, 2, no. 3, no. And we go all the way back to 4 on the dig. Outstanding. Out freaking standing. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of guys are doing this right now. And this is full field stuff in a real time. If I don't have all the stops in here, you're going to see it. It's every movement he makes, he's turning his head. I mean, these are happening in milliseconds, right? This is what you want from a quarterback in terms of being able to scan and get through and process. This is the stuff that's Mac Jones, big deal. He was a big deal with this coming out. Ty's a better prospect and better athlete, I think, than Mac Jones was. And Mac Jones was a first round pick. The Indiana game we go here, not a good day, for Ty in general. As we see again, the feet, the swinging of the leg, and the whole body movement. You want to maintain connection with the ground and be stable and have feet, balance, transitioning of weight, all that good stuff. It just isn't happening here. He's trying to rip the ball too quick and get it out, and he's doing the stuff afterward. All that's got to go. All that has to go. And that is throwing mechanic stuff. And again, that's a project. That's not easy. It's going to be stuff that causes him to have accuracy issues in the NFL. It's habitual stuff that doesn't happen all the time, right? He gets away with it too, right? Like right there, got away with it. Saw the big leg swing, great throw. That's the thing. He's got a lot of arm talent. He gets away with it. McCarthy got away with a lot of stuff too in college, and it's coming back to haunt him right now in the NFL. I think you could see some stuff like this too from him if you tried to play him as a rookie. And the thing we don't know is how he's going to respond. And I think that that's the big question that everybody has. That's sort of the frustration is, are we going to see a guy who's doing this stuff in huge moments in the NFL, gets away with it, and then it doesn't work later. Like, I mean, it's just one of those things that you're going to have to really rely on your study of his personality, your study of his character, your study of his background, all that stuff. Like, he's the son of a coach. The fact that he is the son of a not just a coach, but Jason Simpson is one of the best coaches in college football. Okay, like he has stayed at UTM, Great Scramble there for as long as he did. That's a true coach, a real coach, in my opinion. Those are the guys who really are great. Jeremy Bernard, what a catch. I left that in there just for him. I think he might have dropped it at the end, but either way. So you take the smarts and the understanding of a serious player and you assume that he's going to continue to grow. But, the fact that those habits are still here and he's not exactly, he's not 20. Obviously, he's a young player in terms of starts, but not a young player. That's the good foot movement right there that we were talking about earlier. The elusiveness right here. Comes back, plants, get out, reload. He's ready to throw at all times right there. And he finds a guy. Really good. Like that stuff right there is going to really serve him well in the NFL too. So it's a really difficult evaluation. It's not easy. And I think when I wrap this up at the end, we're about to be on our last one here. My recommendation on him is I think he's probably a top 35 player in this class. I don't think it is a slam dunk that he's going to, and this is another YOLO. What are we doing? Right? In a huge game, cannot have it. I don't think it's a slam dunk that he is a first round pick. I think it's a lot like what we saw with Jackson Dart last year. You're going to have some teams that are really high on him and some teams that don't want anything to do with it. And it's going to just depend on eye of the beholder stuff. I would imagine somebody trades up and takes him at the bottom of the first round. I would hope Pittsburgh is a team that I look at a lot for him because they may have a situation with Rodgers where they can sit him and let him take a year and breathe and work on the hiccupy stuff, get rid of all the other stuff. Because when he gets ready to go, I want him to be clean and ready to go, and you don't have problems with him downloading the offense and any of that other stuff. The stuff that you have problems with a guy like McCarthy and all those things, we're going to be there no matter what happened after the first year. I don't think this is the same thing as that, though I would be a little leery of a lot of the hickety stuff like we talked about. So it's a very difficult conversation. But my recommendation would be Ty Simpson. I would probably take him if I were a QB needy team in the 20s and I could get him at the end of the 20s, late 20s, even in the early 30s, I would do it. And if I were a team that if he snuck to the bottom, if he snuck into the second round, and I was one of those teams at the top of the second round, I would be clawing my arm off to get him on a rookie contract because I do think he has a chance to be a really good player in the NFL. We just don't know yet, and that's why the whole thing is so interesting. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back again at some point with some other stuff.